What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another All-22 video for the Detroit Lions, and today we're going to be putting a bow on this Green Bay Packers game. We're going to be diving into the defensive side of the ball against the Packers, and I think this is one of those games that needs this video, okay? I thought about, we just did the offense, maybe we'll just leave it there, but no, okay? All the chatter about the Lions defense in this game, we have to kind of wrap this thing up and then move on to New Orleans Saints game. So we are going to do a video on that here today. Now, I have less clips. We're not going to show as many as usual. I'm really not going to spotlight many good plays in here. That's not to say that there weren't good plays, because there was, and it's not to say the Lions didn't do anything well, because they did do things well, but I'm really going to focus on where I thought things went wrong in this game to kind of keep it a little bit shorter and sweet. I also brought some statistics with me, and I'm pretty excited about this. So let's jump right into it. Here are the stats before we get into some of the All-22 clips from this game. So as always, I go through the All-22, I mark down every play, what coverage are we in defensively. So what I decided to do is when I stepped back, I said, okay, let me see what coverage we were in defensively and how that actually performed against the Green Bay Packers, because it felt like man coverage was better. So after writing it all down, now this does not include the little pass that they had before half to set up a long field goal, because the Lions were basically in prevent defense, so I didn't even put that in here. But the statistics, this is what they bear out from man coverage versus zone coverage. Now there's tons of variants of man and zone coverage, okay? So cover 3, cover 4, man. You can play a lot of different variants of man coverage. But the point is, just to put it kind of in a blanket here, man coverage, zone coverage. You can see in man coverage, Lions only allowed 9 of 16 completion percentage, 88 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Also, that includes 2 scrambles. One was called for holding. The other one was a very short scramble. Bohanna drawed the holding call. Now, the big thing with that, 3 touchdowns doesn't look great. All right, this was passer rating. It wouldn't be great because 3 touchdowns really bumps up the passer rating. By the way, this is completely off topic, but passer rating is just a calculated number, just if anybody didn't know. Like, you can go to a calculator and actually calculate what a guy's pass rating is based on completions, yards, touchdowns, interceptions. It'll give you a number. I always hear like random things, you know, like on national TV where they're like, well, look at the passer rating from that game. They must have saw something. It's like, wait a minute, this is just numbers. This is just a calculator. Not what they saw. This is a calculator. Anyways, it's besides the point. Point is here, man coverage statistically was good. Now, there was 3 touchdowns. You had the fade route, Christian Watson on Jerry Jacobs. We'll show that. You had Reed on a slant route on Brian Branch. And you also had a breakdown where the Lions did not cover the tight end on a chip flat, which actually happens a lot to a lot of teams on short yardage situations. Those were the 3 touchdowns. Now in zone coverage, again, a lot of different versions of zone coverage, but you can see statistically not great. 12 completions on 15 attempts, 169 yards. 2 of those throwaways were at the end of the game where the Lions started to bring pressure. I like some of the schematic adjustments. I thought what the Lions did towards the end of the game was pretty good. But when you look at this game, specifically in zone coverage, but just in general, one, I thought the Lions' instances of just being a little bit off in zone coverage. Number 2, it's always the same strategy to me against the Packers, and it is against most teams, but you have to get them beyond that first read. He can't hit his back foot and get the ball consistently. If he's doing that, you're in trouble defensively, and in this game, almost every pass felt that way. I mean, there were a few that extended, like the one where throwing across his body, across the field, hits Jerry Jacobs, and they hit kind of the out route late on the play. Like, that's one of those, like, okay, it went beyond, but then again, I thought our defensive line, they kind of gave up on the pass rush. It's like, dude, you still got to pursue that guy. Regardless, though, there were a few examples like that, but most of the time, his ability to get it off when you're planting that back foot and get the pass off, you're not going to get pressure consistently like that. It's just not going to happen, and the reason we know this is because we saw it. You know, I bring this up because it's a great example, and we all saw it firsthand. We played the Chargers. They have great edge defenders, and they didn't get really any pressure on Jared Goff. Why? First, you know, gets on his back foot, lets it go. He was getting the ball out on the first read consistently. And when that's the case, just like Dan Campbell said this week, you're not going to get consistent pressure, because even if you get immediate wins, it still may not affect the quarterback. The ball has to be held onto. You have to cover up the first read. And when the Lions leaned into zone coverage in this game, I thought there was a lot of examples of little things. One, predictability in zone coverage, where what we would just align in, which is part of short field, that doesn't help. Playing from behind, that doesn't help, because everything's available to them. And also on top of that, we didn't create negatives, okay? We definitely brought some pressure, but again, we brought blitzes. But again, a lot of times you can't get them past that first read, right? Now you're in trouble. This is a point I will make later in this video, but I just want to throw it out there now. Number 1, Jordan Love, and I thought Green Bay came in with the game plan, get the ball out of your hands. It's a big reason I thought man worked better, but it was almost like, even if it's not there, throw the football. We can't take negatives. We can't take sacks. And I thought he did a great job of that. We played Packers last year. They had issues we created negatives, they get behind the chains, and everything got thrown off. Last time we played them this season, we created sacks and negatives. This game, the ball was like out of your hands, no matter what, get the ball out of your hands. And Love did some good things athletically, just staying alive and finding a way to throw the football away, but they did not allow us to consistently create negatives in this game. And on top of that, to their offensive line, tight end / backs, one, they used some heavy pass protection, but number two, they did a really good job. We could bring 5 rushers, and we didn't get guys free consistently unless it was through stunts that were created up front. But again, if it's not a third down, it's really difficult to run stunts up front. So they handled one-on-ones for the most part, and they were successful, give credit to them, but not getting them behind the chains also kept everything available for them in this game. We couldn't consistently make things very difficult on them, and I think we saw that specifically with the pass rush. Like when we knew it was a pass down, we had some success winning one-on-ones, but their ability to play action, 2 tight ends on Aiden Hutchinson, slide your offensive line, we didn't get enough pressure from the interior in this game, which is probably the biggest disappointment for me. Now, Elgton Jenkins was back, so that was a huge impact as we saw. John Runyon's kind of the weak link there at right guard, but they did some rotation on the interior, and with Elgton Jenkins, he held his own at the left guard position. So we didn't get enough wins. You know, guys like Quentin Bohanna are not going to win on the interior, so it really comes down to who's the other defensive tackle. Ali McNeil, Levi had like no pressure. He was on the ground more than anything. Ali McNeil had a little bit of pressure, but it usually wasn't immediate. It was like, okay, maybe it was a stunt or working off another pressure. He had some in this game, but again, it wasn't enough, I believe. And also the other edge defender position, Hutch was getting a lot of attention, as he always will. I thought Josh Paschal actually had a pretty solid game at getting pressure in this one. It wasn't every play, but his ability to bull rush the left tackle, I actually thought that Josh Paschal had a pretty nice game. I think this is one of his best games that I've seen for him consistently as a pass rusher. He was pretty effective there, so give some credit to Josh Paschal in this one. I thought he came through a little bit for us. And then, of course, the other good would be A.J. Dillon, just over 3 yards a carry. The issue we had against the run were really the wide receiver runs, and also Jordan Love, who just completely ran up the stats here when he had the little zone read, which he pulled down, short yardage situation. Alex dives on the back, takes off, and basically sealed the deal with a huge run. That really shot up their rushing stats as a whole, as well as some of the wide receiver runs. Now, one of them we defended well. We'll show another one in here, but we knew that was going to be an aspect for them in this game. One play I thought our linebackers were late. The other one they actually played well. Paschal got in on it with Ali McNeil, but there was good, but there was also a lot of bad. And I had a thought that the Lions could come into this one playing a lot more man coverage, and statistically speaking, they did. It's what they did last time they played Green Bay. They opened the game with man coverage, man coverage, man coverage. The issue is, and I'll say this for Aaron Glenn, while I thought at times we were pretty predictable defensively, I'll also say again, situationally, it's hard to be unpredictable on first down. But also on top of that, I thought we could have blitzed a little bit better where we're bringing it from. I thought, rolling the safeties in the second half was a lot better than dropping out backers. When we started rolling safeties in our cover one looks, I thought that was way more successful. But on top of that, you could also get a little bit limited as a defensive coordinator when you're not trusting that you can win one-on-one. And Lions, there was a lot of guys that would win one-on-one, but if one guy doesn't, now you're in trouble. And this was definitely a game where Romeo Doubs versus Jerry Jacobs was one of our key matchups coming into it. Last time, Jerry had a great game. This time, Romeo Doubs won that matchup. Now, that's not to say that, Jerry was just getting burnt left and right. He contested a lot of those throws, but at the catch point, good throws. We lost that matchup a little bit more than anything. Then, of course, they opened the game where we go zone coverage. Tracy's pulled out of the play in cover 3. He can't get back into it. He doesn't play the receiver, looking for the football, goes right over his head, and they get a shot play on Cam Sutton because we know Cam Sutton doesn't have that long speed. I know I'm saying a lot here, but we know that's the case. You get him one-on-one with Christian Watson, you better have that dang safety help because we knew this when we signed Cam Sutton. It was in the video. I was like, I don't know if I trust him on the outside consistently because I don't know about the long speed that he has to play outside. Now, with that, I think he's proven me wrong in the sense that I think he's much better on the outside than I maybe anticipated. He's ended up being a slot here. But then, of course, they got Brian Branch. I think with Cam Sutton, the amount of zone coverage we utilize this season much more. Also, even the off man, I think helps his skill set because he doesn't have the skill set where, like in this game, you could have just said, we'll just follow around Christian Watson and we'll just leave Jerry on Romeo Doubs because, again, that's still not a good matchup for him either, even though, at times we did see that matchup. It wasn't consistent. And I'll also say this. One other thing that I would have liked to see specifically from Aaron Glenn with our inability to get free rushers. At the end we did, I thought bringing it from the linebacker position and also safeties rolling down late, hiding it a little bit more. That led to some issues for them getting one-on-ones with backs. confusing their backs, making them late. That was the difference in our blitzes in basically the second half versus the first half. However, I would have liked to see the Lions try more three-man rushes. Drop out an extra guy in coverage if you're going to play that much zone, and try to take away the underneath read or the first read like that. Give yourself an extra guy in coverage if the pass rush isn't winning. I think that's one adjustment we could have made, but I didn't really see it. Cam Sutton can play on the outside, but we know there's limitations, and that was one of those. And he's also not the most physical presence at the catch point, so you better have that safety help. We did not. They get a shot play to open it up. The play we have here defensively is a quarters look by the Lions defense. They're playing cover 4, so deep, and then you have 3 underneath defenders here with Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone. First thing I'll point out about this one, it's too predictable for me. You understand they want to take shots. They had just taken a shot on first down, so now it's first down again. You give them this kind of quarters look here pre-snap, so I didn't see a ton of confusion that we created there. But anyways, we go into a quarters look, and look, they had a good game plan in terms of knowing, like, situationally, seeing what we wanted to do, and the Lions had to find ways to kind of adjust and adapt out of it, specifically in the second half, and I thought they did a pretty nice job with that. But like we saw in the second half when we played Green Bay last time around, found answers immediately in the second half. We went through that video too. We had open guys that they had because they had the right play call for what we want to do defensively, and we just had built up such a big lead that it was kind of like it doesn't really matter. We're up like 24 points at halftime. But this game wasn't the case because now you're playing behind and they were on top of things. So here in this game, and again, to put that in perspective, that stat that I just showed about zone coverage, Jordan Love started this game against zone coverage 8 for 8, 124 yards. That's what he started this game as. So efficiency early was a problem. He almost did not have any incomplete passes going into halftime. It was the second half where he started to force some incomplete passes, man and zone. But in the first half, everything was completed. And again, watch, this is a perfect example here. 3-step drop, back foot, balls out. Now, this is what's kind of nice about their offense is they have a lot of quick progressions in terms of things all kind of tie together, so he can look one direction, he can decide if he wants to hit that, and then he can kind of work through with it. But you see this, he's hitting his back foot and the ball is getting out immediately on this play. It's hard to get pressure when they're doing that. Got 1, 2, 3 step. Even if Aiden Hutchinson like this beats Zach Tom, the ball can't be out on 1, 2, 3 throw. That's a problem. And you can see here, right, wins on Zach Tom, but the ball's already out of his hands. A couple things that stuck out. Number 1, the safety play here. I think from quarters, we've seen Cam Sutton's done a pretty good job here, communication. I thought at times our safety position was a little bit late to react, and on top of that, I also didn't think it was always the best communication. We could have been a little bit faster winning these looks to their offense, because I think what they did here creatively, getting us into quarters coverage, overloading one side with the motion, you start to have this safety, he's going to peek that direction. He's going to start to lean towards the strong side. You almost get kind of a one-on-one here with Christian Watson and the running back. So give them credit for that, and they did that a few times. But at the same time, you see Tracy Walker reading the eyes. He's kind of far away. He's not really in a position to dive down. He makes a big hit here, but he's not in a position to really make a play on the football necessarily with how he breaks off this route. You can see Cam Sutton, he tries to pass it off to Tracy Walker, but again, it's just a little bit of a miss there. They get the one-on-one with Alex. Underneath, everything's fine, but back foot, ball's out. That's going to be a problem. This is a really good throw. I like what they did design-wise here with Christian Watson to sit down, kind of take our off-ball linebacker underneath. You can see the deep middle safety, and he just fires that slant in there. Now, there was kind of a back and forth with Reed and Brian Branch in this game, and I understand he gave this touchdown, but Brian Branch was still really good in this game. Like, this is a really tough one to fire between all of that traffic, but Brian Branch was still really good in this game. Safety on the receiver, and he tends to be sitting a little bit towards outside leverage here on Christian Watson, knowing that he has kind of inside help here with Jack Campbell, who's not matched up on anybody. The only thing I would say is this, right? Jack Campbell trying to find the eyes of the quarterback. You can see he never sees the quarterback on this play, so he's focused on Christian Watson, who does a nice job of kind of holding him a little bit, but Jack Campbell never sees the quarterback, so he's never gets his hand up. He's never affects the passing lane. So even if this is tight coverage, it's a beautiful ball. I would like to see Jack Campbell find the football a little bit there. He doesn't see the football at all in this play. Also from the safety position, again, you could see playing the deep middle, not really going to be in a position to make a play on this. Maybe could have made a hit a little bit with Jordan Love looking there immediately. And coverage did work as a whole, but obviously the most inconsistent matchup was Jerry Jacobs in this game. He had a little bit of a rough one. Okay, that happens. But you can see here the Lions are going into a cover one blitz. It's an opportunity to get off the field. Everybody's manned up on a play. You can see Brian Branch here on the slot. Everybody's manned up on this play, and it's just kind of that speed out that they hit here with Christian Watson. Now you see maybe just a little bit of the lack of drive explosiveness here from Jerry, right? He's sitting outside leverage initially, matching kind of the stem of this route, and then when he plants and drives, he doesn't really have some of that burst to close on this route. that just is the truth of this one. And when he's playing off coverage, that's why I like him in press so much more, because even though I didn't think he was great in press coverage in this game, I like him there a lot more just because I think it's more natural for him to get his hands on somebody and be able to play a little bit more physical, sticking your hip throughout the route. Here, when you're playing a little bit more off man, he doesn't have some of that athleticism and burst to me to accelerate and really close this down against a striding receiver like this in Christian Watson. Now, he gets in on it, gets some contact. It's a really good catch, kept his feet in bounds on this play. But again, from the pressure side of things, right, you're bringing cover on blitz, you're bringing 5 guys. The Lions try to set up a game here with a 3-by-2 look on this play. They go stunts on both sides, and you can see Hutchinson gets free on this play. But again, the ball is out so quickly here, right? 1, 2, 3, plant, ball's out. So again, if you had an immediate win, you didn't have to do a stunt, maybe you have a chance to disrupt that, but the ball is out too quickly once again there to have kind of an impact. This one's a little bit weird to me. First off, we talk about the interior. You can see Levi's in the game. We know that Liam McNeil was banged up at one point. It's good to see that he came back in the game. He was banged up in this one. You can see Levi right here. He's kind of working on their left tackle on this play. Again, you're going play action, so they're able to slide their protection, which forces everybody to work laterally initially and then get upfield. I don't anticipate you're going to get a lot of pressure from Quinn Bohanna, so the focus again goes on Levi, right? That's why that position's so valuable, because here he gets a one-on-one. We need him to win that matchup, and you can see he does not win on this play. Hutchinson's dealing with 2 tight ends over here. Again, they're sliding to John Kaminsky's side, so he's got to try to win around the edge. The pass pro's pretty good on this play. You'd like to see more immediate pressure, but the pass pro's pretty good. Now, Lions, again, going into a quarters look here defensively, and this is what stands out to me on this one. Number 1, watch Jack Campbell. He bites pretty hard on the play fake here, and they're actually going to come back and hit that a little bit later over the middle of the field. Thought the depth was pretty good from Green Bay in this one, but if you notice the linebacker play, so the running back A.J. Dillon's going to run this play fake, and he's going to hop through the A-gap. He's going to hop through the guard and the center on this play. Now, with him doing that, you see how Derek Barnes, once he jumps through the A-gap, immediately drops, turns around. He doesn't have any vision on this running back. It's like, hey, if he would have went outside maybe the right guard on this play, maybe Derek Barnes kind of focuses on that. But when he jumps through the A-gap, he sees he doesn't have the football. Derek Barnes turns around and just starts taking off to gain depth. Now, credit to him. He adjusted to this, right? He made a better play next time around. But he doesn't know where the running back is. So that's pretty easy for Jordan Love to sit back there, no pressure, plant, see it, and say, okay, this guy doesn't know where the running back is on the play. Now, Jack Campbell playing the play action. He's biting pretty hard on the play action here, and then he drops out. Middle of the field, that's something they'll come back and hit a little bit later. So again, that's just one of those things where it's like, okay, he goes through the A-gap. We got to have some awareness on where the running back is on this play. And this is an area where I just think he's continuing to try to work and improve. And credit to him. As the game went on, he played it better. He played things better. There was some good, there was some bad there. But that one wasn't great, but it was early, and he adjusted to it. Here, Lions going to another quarters look defensively. You got kind of a 3-by-1 look here, and all they're going to do is run a simple out, and they're going to push it vertically here with Cam Sutton on this play, and this one just makes it really easy for an easy completion. And this is what I felt like continuously happened in the first half, and this where I was like, man, just feels too predictable. There's not enough movement. I understand it's first down, but this is just too easy. You can't just give them this and show them this. Now, again, with Barnes, would I maybe like him to try to help out in the slot a little bit more? Yes. I don't really know that he could have done a ton here anyway, but with 3 guys on his side, he kind of peeks over to the right side of the field with the running back leaking out, running the swing route. He's really in no man's land here, but at the same time, you could see because the cornerback has the deep quarter, the outside route pushes that vertically. If anything, maybe you could get like faster communication with like Branch, like, hey, dive down, I'll get over top here. But really, I mean, that's just a coverage beater. And honestly, they kind of had the same thing going on the bottom of the field here with Romeo Doubs too. A quick slant underneath, you have your safety over top. It would have been a tougher hit, but the running back runs in, but the running back takes Alex into the flat, and you just have no help over here. That's just an easy completion to beat what we're doing in coverage there defensively. So that was one of my knocks here in the first half. Again, you can see on the interior there's no wins, but the ball is out way too darn fast. It's too easy, and I think that's a big reason why man actually worked better, because it wasn't always that easy. Again, if you're not consistently winning one-on-one matchups across the board, that's a problem, because if you have weak spots in coverage, it can be an issue unless you're throwing help there. And you want to be able to create pressure with 4, because that way you don't have to send extra guys to rush. But I think man worked better, and maybe we could have at times thrown a little bit more help at certain spots in man coverage, maybe to Jerry Jacobs. But I think where it helped us is that even though they were still seemingly getting the ball out very quickly, the issue is that we would actually win a lot of matchups there. So guys like Brian Branch, they could try to attack him, but he would win. There was one of those completions was a 4-yard pass. Alex Anzalone shuts it down on the play. So I think that's the thing, is we actually did a much better job across the board. Now, this is not a great job here in man coverage. I don't even know what the heck was going on here. So this is something that actually a lot of teams have issues with for whatever reason. I've seen us do this to other teams as well, kind of the exact same look. Chip flats are a killer for whatever reason on short yardage situations. And you can see they're going to run the short motion. They're going to bring in Christian Watson. And right there, you get the communication. So Cam Sutton, seemingly, they're going to man up here. You can see seemingly Cam Sutton has Christian Watson on this play, and he's going to stick with him on the play. But then the question becomes, okay, who has the tight end here? And you can see when he motions in, Tracy Walker has seemingly the C gap to fill on this play. Like, he needs to go and fill. And again, because it's a short yardage situation, he's playing more aggressive. Now, you'll see here with Christian Watson, right, he's going to show block, going to kind of chip Tracy, and then he's going to take off on the play. But with that being said, because Tracy then rushes to play the run on this play fake right here, you can see it's a clear design play action. No offensive linemen are actually getting to the second level. This is just a clear play action setup. With him diving on the run fake, I think understandably so, no one is now matched up with the tight end. And then Christian Watson, when he leaks out and they time it up, and this is good timing with their offense, he times it up with the chip flat where the chip flat doesn't leave until this receiver releases and takes Cam Sutton. Now no one has the tight end on the play. So good job by them. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, hey, Aiden Hutchinson, just stick with him on this play. That would have actually worked, but I don't think at any point he was expected to match up with the tight end here. I'm assuming that was the safety that was expected to match up on this play. Alex Anzalone was just kind of like, yo, what are we doing right after the play? But that's what that was. That was a complete breakdown. It was just as simple as that. Short yard situation, you break down defensively. Now, this is where I think you have to give Alex Anzalone his flowers, and it's going to be so tough to not have him. We know he's very good in coverage, man coverage, his ability to match guys. But this is where he's tough, because we ran the same coverage twice against this empty look that they give you. So the Lions are going to play their safeties over top of the inside slot, right? Slot receiver here on Reed, and also the tight end. They're going to play their safeties over top of the backers, so if they go vertical, they can pass that thing off. And you're going to see on both sides. We'll start to the field side here with Derek Barnes. It's going to go vertical. You see him drop off. Good depth in zone coverage. Steps in front of the two crossing routes. They take that away. Then at the bottom, I think for Green Bay, what they were trying to do is really set up what they could over here, right? If this is zone coverage, maybe Jerry drops down to take away this out route, and all of a sudden, maybe you can try to get a shot. But specifically, maybe trying to get this one-on-one. They're saying receiver on Alex Anzalone. We would like that matchup, we think. Romeo Doubs on the linebacker. But Alex Anzalone wasn't having it. He covered this thing up extremely well, and because it didn't go vertical, he stuck with it on the play. And you could see, could have been very easy for him to pass it off, but he stays in phase there, stays connected with Romeo Doubs, and he takes away that first look. So this is the key. Take away the first read. They take it away. Now you have Cam Sutton as well. He's manned up on the outside. Now, this time they give a little bit different cornerback alignments than next time. You can see they're kind of just showing like straight across man coverage here, not necessarily pressing. Then they drop out into this half-turn look here.
Like it's worth noting Cam Sutton's awareness on both of these plays to stick with the outside receiver when he breaks underneath, because they're pulling out that off-ball linebacker vertically, and the linebacker, even though you'd see Derek Barnes going to carry it pretty far here, Jack Campbell doesn't. That underneath route should be open as a number 2 if Cam Sutton does not stick with this. So I think the awareness there for him to plant and drive and stay on this route, knowing there's no inside help, it's also pretty good too. You take away 1 and 2, well done in coverage.
So they give you something a little bit different, but you take the first read away, force him to get to number 2. Cam Sutton does his job, linebackers doing their job, and now the pressure starts to come through. And this time it was Josh Paschal who actually got pressure on their left tackle. That was good. Forced him out of the pocket. They scramble. Hutchinson chases him out of bounds. But that's where Alex Anzalone to me is so valuable, because you can think that on paper, yeah, that's a matchup for us. Tight end on linebacker, receiver in the slot, even if it's just underneath. But Alex Anzalone just does not give you those easy things. He has been so good in coverage this season, and that's a great example of that. Here again, this is where they want to live. Now, I kind of understand the coverage defensively. If you think that this is a team, early downs, play action, they want to hit shot plays, that you're going to play quarters defensively. That makes sense. I think that's understandable that would be your coverage, not giving up the big play. But everything then needs to be on point communication-wise, because you can give up these second-level throws, or like we saw, you can give up the running back. So here on this play, Lions go into another quarters look here. You can see it'll be heavy in pass protection, leave both tight ends to deal with Aiden Hutchinson. Again, I would love to see some interior pressure here. I mean, that would be fantastic. You can see Lee McNeil doesn't really get anything going here working on Zach Tom. The offensive line is also going to slide laterally a little bit, so now he has to match that first. Then we talk about transitioning, playing the run, to rushing the passer. Don't expect much from Bohanna, so it's kind of tough. They are not going to get anything there. It's why the interior was so important, and they didn't get wins. And then John Kaminsky actually does win around the edge, which is nice. He beats the left tackle on this play. You can see he wins around the edge. A little bit late, but he does. But again, the first read is there for him. Now, here's really the thing that I kind of look at here is with Jack Campbell. So again, watch the running back here. He's going to jump through the left A gap. He hops through the left A gap. Now, it's a little bit delayed because of how steep that Jack Campbell's getting on this play fake. I think the running back's thinking that he might be blitzing on this play, so he kind of delays it, and then he rolls through. But with Jack Campbell biting so much on this play fake, I like how Derek Barnes plays this better. You can see here, keeps vision on the running back, so he drops out, vision stays on the back here. But if you notice, you have no linebacker help over top. Jack Campbell, now you have no help over middle of the field. He tries to get his hand up late, but he bites so hard on this play action. Running back then leaks through the A gap, and for whatever reason, he starts to go that direction. He doesn't drop out and just say, okay, Derek Barnes has that. Now all of a sudden he starts to roll that direction. Then Derek Barnes has it, and he's like, oh snap, we're covering the same guy. Now by the time he tries to drop out and get depth, now no one's in a position to actually make a play on this football or really impact anything for the second level throw. On top of that, from the secondary here in the back end, I think you would like to see more communication potentially. It's going to be tough, but like right here when this receiver's right there, communicate like, hey, Kirby, dive. I got this thing. Now, of course, you always have to worry about like, what if he breaks back to the corner, right? Now that's really set up the shot play. But at the same time, maybe you'd hope that you get some pressure. In this case, John Kaminsky would. But you can see that they both drop out, which is usually a beater on this play, right? This is where you kind of set up those dagger looks where you have a vertical and you run a dig right underneath. It's a beater for this coverage if he carries at all. And you can see Kirby, he does drop off, but he carries it just a few steps. There's no communication seemingly on this play for him to dive down quicker. Now it basically isolates Jerry Jacobs, who would expect inside help but doesn't really have it. And again, making a big completion there. I mean, yeah, you would like Jerry Jacobs to be able to try to make a play on this football, but again, you really don't have inside help. There's no linebacker support over the middle of the field because Jack Campbell's playing the running back too, and now all of a sudden it just gives a huge path for them to throw the football. Now, here was the one play where we actually gave up one of these outside runs. Here we give up a toss, and to me, this one looks like the gap discipline was not great here, and you could see it, right? It seems like gap is filled from the interior defensive lineman. Jack Campbell B gap, John Kaminsky probably the C gap, and then you need a guy like, it looks like Derek Barnes on this play. They have to stay towards the outside. He begins to peek inside. He jumps inside of the tight end here. Jack Campbell, again, aggressively is just filling his gap. So now he gets sealed up by the tight end, and they end up picking up a medium run here. And it's really saved, and I'll give some credit for Cam Sutton fighting off his block, making a really good tackle there. Give credit to Cam Sutton making a play, and also Brian Branch flying in there, getting involved in that run tackle too. That could have been a lot worse. You limited to only 5 yards, but it definitely could have been a lot worse. Now again, this is why I think man coverage worked, because while at times, right, you can find like, okay, who do we want to pick on defensively? And the Lions were switching a lot of things, so you had a lot of different matchups. You get safeties on, and the help would have to come with that. But with that being said, when you played man coverage like this, like for example, Kirby Joseph is now one-on-one with Christian Watson in the slot.
This could allow you to potentially hide coverage a little bit. Safety rules down. You can still drop in a zone here. Cam Sutton stays at left cornerback. Jerry stays at right cornerback. But also on top of that, even if you said, okay, you know what, let's put Cam Sutton on the inside slot here on Christian Watson, you still don't love that matchup. I don't think necessarily one-on-one. So I think the key here is, okay, Kirby Joseph have to handle business, but you're going to have help. You have an off-ball linebacker inside. You have a safety in the middle. Play outside leverage. You have help on this play. So we're kind of bracketing you in. Then it's about everybody else has to win.
Rely a little bit more on the help that you have, right? Running back, Alex Anzalone, and now on this play, maybe you have some Derek Barnes interior help so you can sit outside leverage, plus you have a deep middle safety. So he's going to have some help on this play. But again, this is where I think it worked, because now one-on-one, we were actually winning some matchups, and Brian Branch gave the touchdown, but here he is on this out route, stays contested really well on this play. It's out in front of the receiver, and the pass is incomplete. Pretty good coverage on that one, and you can see ball still getting out fast, but you're in pretty good coverage, man coverage, and this is like against Baltimore what the Lions try to do, right? They tried to make him make tight window throws defensively. However, for us, what worked against us in that game, cover 1 and cover 3, is that for us defensively, we were breaking down in the front end, right? We weren't consistently keeping matchups, kind of like the touchdown play. We would break down at the linebacker or the edge position. We were breaking down up front and being late to things. However, when you are singled up, the Lions, I don't think they're terrible across the board. They have guys that can can match up, and the safety versatility has become a huge aspect of that. Now, again, Jerry had a rough one. If Jerry was like, had his best game, then obviously that probably would have been even better for us because it was still good to sit in man coverage, which is a positive. The Lions started to shift to that, and I think it was a real positive in this game, is that the Lions have that flexibility, and we've seen it. You just have to be on point communication-wise. I mean, even down here, for example, the ball didn't go there, but you could see the communication between Alex, Cam Sutton, like the communication still has to be on point here because, again, the running back, someone has to take the running back here. But the point is, coverage is pretty good. Ball gets out fast, but you cover it well. Jerry Jacobs, you can see he's in press on this play. Transition, open up, going to turn and run with him deep. Romeo Doubs doesn't threaten that much, I don't think, vertically in a straight line, and you're able to cover that up. And one of the biggest changes that I liked in the second half was for the man coverage is two things. Number one, the Lions started to utilize zone blitzing on third downs. That was something that they tried to utilize a little bit, but here on a third down, we started to see them roll safeties. Instead of trying to put a linebacker underneath in coverage, we saw looks like this: 2 deep pre-snap, roll down someone to play the robber. It kept much better depth. We talked about some of the issues with depth there with the linebacker play. Well, this helps your depth when you're using a safety to roll down underneath, and Kirby was doing a really nice job at keeping good depth man or zone when rolling from a post-snap alignment, so I loved that. Also, Tracy Walker plays this really well, so Lions are going cover one again. They bring down a robber on this play, and you can see Aiden Hutchinson wins here. I love this pass rush move by Aiden Hutchinson. Right here, watch this. Rip through, and then watch him just shove off the shoulder of the tackle, and you get a pass rush win. Again, no sack, but the ball's getting out in the first read. So against this team, where I'll give Jordan Love credit is this: things that weren't even seemingly that open, he was still getting the ball out of his hands. And maybe that was one thing that they came in this game saying, look, I don't care if it's not that open, just throw it away. Get the ball out of your hand, right? Just get it out of your hand regardless. We can't have you holding onto the football. And I think that's another reason why man worked better, because if the coverage was on point and someone would win up front, he was still throwing the ball regardless. Zone coverage, I thought, where we were predictable, we started getting more. I thought we started shifting it a little bit, but we weren't getting them enough in enough negative situations to get very unpredictable. But when you have someone that's just strictly wide open, the pass rush has no chance. But in an example like this, you man up well. First off, notice they're matching this time. So you can see here you have Rick Barnes on the running back. Because it's a third down, you can play strictly just this look. So they match up across the board. Notice Alex Anzalone first, covering up the tight end pretty darn well here. Tucker Kraft, that's really good coverage. Running back on linebacker here. But Cam Sutton, he has outside leverage, knows he's going to have a deep middle safety help, maintains outside leverage, sticks in the outside hip pocket. Tracy Walker does a great job getting over top here, where even if they don't get tangled and they throw it incomplete, Tracy Walker's in a good spot to potentially make a play on this football, and that falls incomplete. And then again, you have pressure off the edge because you get them into an obvious passing down. Here's where I talked about where I really liked Kirby Joseph. So you're going into cover 3. Even though it's third down, you're not playing man, but you're still rolling your safeties at the snap. So watch, Kirby rolls down, you play cover 3. They did this a lot, 3 underneath defenders. Now it's going to be Branch, Kirby Joseph, Alex Anzalone drops out, and you have your 2 outside cornerbacks. But what I like about this is the depth that you're going to see Kirby Joseph maintain here. So you bring the 5-man rush, but look at Kirby Joseph maintain depth and flow over the middle of the field. He does not give them that middle of the field, which at times underneath, if you drop out an underneath defender, you may be able to hit that pass right over the middle of the field. I give that up. Also, it's not the shortest third down in the world either. Like, we gave up a 3rd and 2 where we just went in the zone. They just popped it right behind our linebacker, where again, I didn't think we found the receiver at all, so it was a very easy completion. But here in like a 3rd and 5 plus, man, you gotta love to live in those situations. And here in that situation, the Lions actually played it pretty well. Kirby's able to play with depth, so you're able to roll him down instead of drop. It's hard to roll a safety down pre-snap in 3rd and 2, all right, because you're not going to be very effective with that. But on this, for example, a 3rd and 5 plus, now you roll him down and he's impactful. And then you can see we get pressure, though it's late. Charles Harris here, he creates a little bit of pressure. He kind of works around through the stump. We force him out of the pocket, and then everywhere else the coverage is pretty darn good. Here, Alex Anzalone takes away the crossing route. Coverage is good here with Cam Sutton. Coverage is good across the board, and then Kirby Joseph sticks with the route that's behind him. This is the same look. Again, Alex Anzalone, we give him the same look. Linebackers over safeties. Now, they adjusted a little bit here. You notice at the snap, Tracy Walker goes from playing outside of the slot to rolling inside of the slot, and then Alex Anzalone shifts his leverage a little bit to jump outside here at the snap, so he gets outside. So again, you kind of bracket that in. Over here, you're getting kind of the same look. Again, I would like to see Jack Campbell maybe I think this is something that will come with growth, is kind of feeling where those receivers are a little bit, instead of just like let it pass off and then then just drift. Again, he's not in a bad spot. He's got a lot of length, so it's going to be hard to hit this pass anyway. But again, also the cornerback alignment. So last time they showed half turn at the snap. Here they show they're going to play off man again. And then at the snap, you can see they kind of roll down. They stay square with their receivers on the outside. So again, they're still manning up here. And it's just Alex Anzalone once again. This time a little bit better because he has outside leverage. Sticks with Romeo Doubs. They've already seen it once now. He covers it up. The number 2 across the field, Jack Campbell's there. He tries to come back, hit the same thing, but he doesn't get a chance. Why? Because you took away the first read. You got to take away the first read. Josh Paschal blows up their left tackle. You got to win the first read. You have to win there. Now he scrambles, looks like a good gain. Quinn Bohanna, though, drew a holding call, so again, you back him up.
Also point out, we could say this individually, we could say it as a defensive scheme, but there are adjustments here you can see by how they played this, seemingly kind of anticipating what's coming their direction. All right, Alex, I'm going to make sure I get outside on this guy because we've already seen this once. Cam Sutton, I have to make sure that I take away this dig route. And you can even argue that with Jack Campbell as well.
And I give credit to Love. He did a good job of not taking negatives. He's getting the ball out regardless. And you could see some of the throwaways that he has. He wasn't allowing them to fall behind the chains. It's one way that I thought had a lot of success against Aaron Rodgers last year. First time we played this team, the negatives we were able to produce. He did a really nice job saying, I'm not going to let you get sacks. I'm going to get the ball to my hands regardless and give them credit. It makes it look like, Lions aren't getting added pressure. But we saw last time we played Green Bay, we got pressure, we got sacks. That's happened a lot. Elton Jenkins having him back was big. You'd see him on a Lee McNeil. But at that same time, he did a really nice job saying, I have to get the ball to my hands, and I give him credit for that. Now here again, you get what looks like another quarters look. Now notice, you get a 3-by-1, and the running back kind of stays in here, then he leaks out late. But if you see with the safety position, Tracy Walker, he kind of drifts towards the strong side of the field, so it kind of isolates Jerry Jacobs one-on-one. And this is just one of those examples where you can see he wants to be physical, tries to kind of squeeze him inside, gets caught a little bit under the route. It's not a bad route here. He sits down at the top. Jerry's in pretty good contest here. It's just at the catch point, unable to make a play and jar this thing loose. I can live with this. I think as a fan, I could absolutely live with this. Again, Hutchinson gets a win here. He's got to go through a tight end, and he's got to beat Zach Tom. He gets a win, but the ball's already out of his hands. I think I can live with this as a Lions fan. Again, I think that's why when we talked about yesterday and some of the needs, cornerback is something that the Lions, I think, are soon going to have to put a legitimate draft pick into just because of just for the size, just for the athleticism, just for kind of the body type. But I love me some Jerry Jacobs, and I can live with things like that right now. Again, he wasn't perfect in this game. This is a great example. When you talk about limiting things, you go man coverage, but all of a sudden you get Jerry Jacobs one-on-one with Christian Watson. He's sitting outside leverage. You can see right here, I think he lost right at the line of scrimmage when his feet kind of split wide open. Now he loses balance. You can see right here. You see how he kind of splits? Now he doesn't have outside leverage, which means the safety can't help him anymore. And now he's trying to work him to the sideline. And then at the catch point, Christian Watson makes a pretty good play here. To be honest, at the catch point, he uses a little bit of a push off right there. He's contested with him well, just pushes off a little bit at the catch point. We don't really see that length, and that's just a size differential where he's able to just go make that play on Jerry Jacobs. Again, the contest wasn't terrible. You can see a little bit of heat, but the ball's out. First read, ball's already up to the fade route. So again, at that point, you just didn't get the win in coverage one-on-one. But I think more times than not, we were better there than zone. Now, this is one of those examples where it didn't really bite us, but I think when you look back, and I don't know exactly, but I saw the communication on the sideline, this feels like one where, I really like what the Lions did here in coverage. Okay, they're actually going into a quarters look, but you can see how they're showing their safeties, right? They try to roll Brian Branch down. That's really, I think, because of where the strength of the field is, but they're still going into quarters here.
I love this, how the Lions brought the pressure, right? Attacking their running back, and I think the very next play, Lions did it with their safety, but you can kind of hide a linebacker a little bit more, and Green Bay did it to us defensively with an off-ball linebacker that doesn't show it, that does not standing on a line of scrimmage, but on an early down, you bring him right inside one of those A gaps, and you just let him rush upfield. Now, all of a sudden, you get him isolated with a back. You love that matchup. We did the same thing with our safety, and we didn't get negatives because he threw the ball away, but it's still throwing the ball away, right? It's 2nd and 10. That's where you want to get defense, because now it's like, well, do we take a shot play on 2nd and 10? Because if we don't convert, now we're 3rd and 10 and we're in big trouble. So I loved this little adjustment to bring the blitz like this, hide it a little bit more, even on early downs.
But I think the focus is really the off-ball linebacker, Derek Barnes, because as you're going to see, he doesn't continue to get zone depth. And I think that's what the coaching staff was upset about, because when they run this corner route, Cam Sutton puts a lot of stress on him. He actually does a pretty nice job of sticking with Dobbs, seeing this happen, flipping around and trying to get back into the play. Because he does not continue to get depth here, you can see that there is a gap here for Christian Watson, and he's not really being very effective. I think the reason they were like, yo, we need you to drop out. Notice also, you can see here with Jack Campbell, he gets better depth, I think, on this play because they're bringing Alex Anzalone on a blitz. And to me, that was one of the best adjustments. Is usually don't see a lot of quarters blitzing. The Lions did a quarters blitz here, so you only have really two underneath defenders. It looks like Jerry is because of the strength of the field, but he's pretty much just going to go one-on-one with this tight end. And when you know that, Jack Campbell gets good depth here. I think that's where the key comes into play, because Derek Barnes, as you're going to see, with this tight end rolling across the middle of the field, you do have Jerry Jacobs, who's kind of going to stick with this route, but then Jack Campbell starts to dive on it, which means Derek Barnes tries to dive on this outside. But really, you want to see, I think, Jack Campbell get over there and allow Derek Barnes to get some depth to not give up that second level throw. And I feel like it's always little things like that, but that starts everywhere. That's everybody across the board has to be on the page. You got him, okay, I got him. That communication has to be there across the board so that everybody knows what they have to do and you're not getting two guys covering one. I think that's where you got young linebackers out there, man. You got young linebackers playing together, and I think with more snaps, you're hoping to see that really start to kind of dial in a little bit there. But I will say again, Derek Barnes took it during the game and he got better, I think. And then here you got a one-on-one again. It's just one of those examples. RPO look offensively, offensive line's run blocking, and he's just beat on this quick little speed out route. That's as simple as this was. He just beat at the line of scrimmage here. Again, I like him at the line of scrimmage, but there doesn't do great at the line. Kind of gets back into it a little bit, but it's a really nice, well-ran route, and he's unable to kind of stick in the hips there. Overall, man, I think there's actually a lot of positives to take out of this. I think for us, I mean, they did a good job. They beat us in man coverage. You can talk about Heath over the middle against Brian Branch. Jerry Jacobs didn't have his best game, but it still worked out as the best thing for us. I think when you talk about the zone, everything's got to be on point. I want to see communication maybe a little bit faster. We do have a lot of young guys on defense still, but I want to see that faster, specifically with linebackers. I think that's going to be just a work in progress, because you have a young Jack Campbell who's a rookie, and you're just trying to make sure that, those things are on point. There's been a lot of times this year, like we can point to the Ravens game where, foreign coverage, maybe it's like, okay, you're playing it right on paper, but it's just like he doesn't really have the sense of that guy that's sitting behind him, and it's uncovered on the play because of what they did. Like, offenses are smart, right? If they know what you're in and they have a sense of what you're in, they're going to run beaters for that play. So you can't play it vanilla because guys are going to be wide open. And sometimes that just is what it is. But you have to get a little bit, I think, sometimes outside of the box. And that's where those big time coverage playmakers come into play, because you have to be able to roll outside of your coverage or roll outside of your zone. And there's been times this year, like Baltimore, right? For example, the linebackers, receivers kind of just sitting behind him. He doesn't really roll over to that and take it away. That's where I think that growth will come into play. And I think it's actually getting better with Derek Barnes. I think we can see that in game time. That's why it's going to be so tough to lose Alex. And that's why I said yesterday on the roundtable, like, I think that's one of the concerns is not having Alex Anzalone out there is going to be difficult because he's such a good coverage linebacker. Plus, he gives us those matchups where offense may think they have something, but they don't. I think another positive is you have a lot of guys across the board that can win. You have a lot of coverage guys that can win. I think Cam Sutton's solid. Jerry Jacobs had a rough one. I trust him. You don't really have the size there, and he doesn't have the long speed like we saw in the first vertical play. That's why I think cornerback's going to become a top priority for them. But at the same time, against most teams, I don't hate what we have there in the back end. I think we have a lot of guys right now that we know can win. Alex Anzalone, Brian Branch, the safety versatility has been huge. And then up front, we just have to get teams past the first. You have to get teams past their first read if you want to get consistent pressure. And give credit to Green Bay, give credit to Love. He came in and said, I'm not going to let you get me behind the chains. And for the most part, they did it. And it hurt. And it hurt the Lions in this one, and that was really the case. But I liked some of the adjustments. I thought they did a good job of not forcing negatives, but specifically forcing incompletions on first down. I mean, that was a huge difference for us in this one. Getting them in positions where it's not as comfortable first, second down. We can take a shot. We can do whatever we want. Got to get them out of those spots. And the Lions didn't do as good of a job this time as they did the first time around. But I'm not like concerned or nothing specifically. I think you could just get clarity of who you are defensively and where you need to get better, and I think that's what we have right now. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out.